The moment the cameras started rolling, the atmosphere on Kelly Clarkson's show reportedly felt different from usual, with insiders later claiming there was an unspoken tension in the air as Kylie Minogue took her seat. What was meant to be a light-hearted conversation about music and legacy slowly shifted in tone, as subtle pauses, forced smiles, and carefully chosen words hinted that something was brewing beneath the surface, something neither audience nor viewers at home were prepared for. According to accounts that surfaced afterward, that discussion initially followed a familiar path, touching on Kylie Minogue's long career, her influence on pop culture, and her recent projects. However, as the conversation progressed, Kelly Clarkson allegedly steered toward more personal territory, bringing up past industry rivalries and difficult moments that Kylie had largely avoided revisiting in public, creating an unexpected shift that immediately caught Kylie off guard. Sources claim Kylie attempted to respond with grace, offering measured answers that acknowledged her journey without reopening old wounds. Yet the questions reportedly continued, becoming more pointed and emotionally charged. Observers say Kylie's body language began to change, her posture stiffening as she tried to maintain composure, while the audience sensed that the friendly interview format was slowly transforming into something far more uncomfortable and confrontational. What seemed to escalate the situation, insiders allege, was a comment interpreted as dismissive of Kylie's early struggles in the industry. While Kelly Clarkson may not have intended harm, the remark reportedly struck a nerve. Kylie, known for her professionalism, allegedly paused for several seconds before responding, choosing her words carefully, but the silence itself spoke volumes and signaled that the conversation had crossed an invisible line. As the exchange continued, Kylie reportedly addressed the comment directly, clarifying her perspective and emphasizing the personal challenges she faced behind the scenes. Audience members later claimed the mood in the studio shifted dramatically, with laughter fading and tension filling the space. The once upbeat energy of the show appeared to dissolve as both women stood firm in their viewpoints, creating a moment that felt raw and unscripted. Reports suggest Kelly Clarkson attempted to regain control of the conversation, perhaps sensing the discomfort in the room. However, in doing so, she allegedly pressed further, asking follow-up questions that Kylie perceived as minimizing her experiences. This reportedly led to a sharper response from Kylie, whose voice, while calm, carried an edge that made it clear she felt misunderstood and increasingly frustrated by the direction of the interview. Behind the cameras, production staff were allegedly scrambling, unsure whether to cut to a commercial break or allow the conversation to continue. Viewers later speculated that this hesitation contributed to the intensity of the moment, as there was no immediate interruption to diffuse the situation. Kylie's responses reportedly grew shorter, her expressions more guarded, signaling that her patience was wearing thin. Insiders claim the turning point came when Kelly Clarkson referenced public perceptions of Kylie's career, suggesting that her success was effortless. Kylie reportedly pushed back firmly, explaining that such perceptions often ignore years of hard work, rejection, and personal sacrifice. The exchange, while not overtly hostile, was described as emotionally charged, with both women defending their perspectives in a way rarely seen on daytime television. Audience members later described a palpable sense of shock as Kylie's usually warm demeanor shifted to visible disappointment. According to those present, she took a deep breath and attempted one final explanation, stressing the importance of respecting individual journeys. When it became clear that the conversation was not moving toward resolution, Kylie reportedly glanced off stage, as if silently seeking guidance on how to proceed. Moments later, sources allege Kylie made the decision that stunned everyone. She reportedly stood up from her chair, thanked the audience politely, and addressed Kelly directly, stating that she felt the conversation was no longer constructive. The room reportedly fell silent, with gasps heard as Kylie calmly but decisively announced she needed to step away, signaling an abrupt and unexpected end to her appearance. As Kylie reportedly walked off the set, cameras attempted to follow her, but producers quickly cut away. Kelly Clarkson was left visibly surprised, pausing before addressing the audience. According to viewers, Kelly attempted to smooth over the situation, emphasizing respect and misunderstanding, but the shock of the moment lingered. leaving many questioning how a normally friendly interview had unraveled so dramatically. Backstage accounts suggest Kylie was deeply affected by the exchange, though she remained composed. Those close to her later claimed the decision to walk off was not impulsive, but rather a boundary-setting moment after feeling repeatedly unheard. For Kylie, the choice reportedly reflected years of learning when to protect her emotional well-being, even if it meant making an uncomfortable public statement. Social media reactions reportedly exploded within minutes of the episode airing, with clips and commentary spreading rapidly. Fans of Kylie praised her for standing up for herself, describing the walk-off as powerful and dignified. Others defended Kelly Clarkson, suggesting the clash was a result of miscommunication rather than malice, highlighting how quickly narratives can polarize in the digital age. Industry insiders weighed in, noting that live or lightly edited talk shows always carry the risk of unpredictable moments. Some suggested the incident underscored the delicate balance hosts must maintain between asking engaging questions and respecting personal boundaries. The Kylie and Kelly moment, they argued, served as a reminder that even seasoned professionals can find themselves in unexpectedly tense situations. Neither Kylie Minogue nor Kelly Clarkson immediately issued detailed statements, which only fueled further speculation. Fans dissected every gesture and phrase, attempting to determine where the conversation went wrong. Commentators debated whether the walk-off was justified or avoidable, turning the incident into a broader discussion about respect, power dynamics, and emotional labor in the entertainment industry. In the days that followed, sources close to Kylie reportedly emphasized that she held no personal animosity toward Kelly, framing the moment as a misunderstanding amplified by live television pressures. They suggested Kylie hoped the incident would encourage more thoughtful conversations in the future, rather than be remembered solely for its dramatic outcome. Meanwhile, Kelly Clarkson reportedly addressed the situation indirectly on a later episode, speaking about the challenges of hosting and the importance of empathy. Though she did not name Kylie explicitly, viewers interpreted her comments as an acknowledgement that intentions do not always align with impact, and that even well-meaning questions can resonate differently than expected. Media analysts noted how quickly the narrative shifted from shock to reflection, with many praising both women for their decades-long contributions to music and television. The incident, while dramatic, was also seen as a rare glimpse into the vulnerability of public figures, reminding audiences that fame does not shield anyone from emotional discomfort or miscommunication. Some fans expressed disappointment that what could have been a celebratory interview turned tense, while others argued the moment felt authentic in an industry often criticized for being overly polished. The walk-off, they claimed, cut through the artificiality, revealing genuine human reactions that are usually edited out or avoided altogether. As clips continued circulating, discussions emerged about interview ethics and consent, particularly when revisiting sensitive topics. Commentators questioned whether talk shows should provide clearer boundaries beforehand, ensuring guests feel safe and respected. The Kylie situation became a case study in how easily good intentions can lead to unintended consequences. For Kylie Minogue, the incident reportedly reinforced her reputation as someone who values self-respect over appearances. Fans highlighted her calm demeanor throughout the exchange, noting that even when she chose to leave, she did so without hostility. This restraint, they argued, demonstrated strength rather than weakness. Kelly Clarkson's supporters, on the other hand, emphasized her track record as a compassionate host, suggesting the clash was an anomaly rather than a pattern. They pointed out that live conversations can derail despite preparation, and that assigning blame oversimplifies a complex interaction between two accomplished professionals. Entertainment reporters speculated whether the moment would have lasting effects on either career. Most concluded it would not, given both women's established legacies. Instead, they predicted the incident would fade into pop culture history as a memorable, if uncomfortable, reminder of the unpredictability of live television. Privately, insiders claimed both teams may have communicated to ease tensions and prevent further escalation. While no public reconciliation was announced, The lack of continued conflict suggested a mutual understanding that the situation had been blown out of proportion by online speculation and viral framing. Viewers who watched the full episode noted that the clash was not a shouting match, but a slow-building discomfort that culminated in a decisive action. This nuance, they argued, was often lost in shortened clips that focused solely on the walk-off, stripping away the context that led to that moment. The incident also sparked conversations among fellow artists, many of whom shared stories of interviews that crossed personal lines. These reflections highlighted how common such experiences are, even for seasoned performers, and why moments like Kylie's resonate with so many who have felt pressured to stay silent. As time passed, the narrative gradually softened, shifting from outrage to analysis. Fans revisited Kylie's music and Kelly's show with renewed appreciation, recognizing that one tense moment did not define either woman. Instead, it added another layer to their public stories, reminding audiences of their humanity. Cultural commentators suggested the real takeaway was not who was right or wrong, but how public figures navigate boundaries in real time. Kylie's walk-off, they argued, demonstrated that leaving a conversation can sometimes be the healthiest response, even when millions are watching. In retrospect, the moment became less about conflict and more about choice. Kylie chose to protect her sense of self, while Kelly faced the challenge of addressing an unexpected turn on her own platform. Both responses, though imperfect, reflected the pressures inherent in public-facing roles. Ultimately, the alleged heated clash and walk-off became a brief but powerful chapter in entertainment discourse, reminding viewers that authenticity can be messy and uncomfortable. Whether seen as a misunderstanding or a necessary boundary, the moment sparked conversations that extended far beyond the studio, leaving a lasting impression on audiences worldwide. As discussions continued online, many longtime fans reflected on how Kylie Minogue's career has been defined by resilience rather than ease, making the incident feel deeply personal to those who have followed her journey for decades. They argued that moments like this reveal how easily public narratives can overshadow lived experiences, and why celebrities sometimes feel compelled to push back, even when doing so disrupts the expected flow of entertainment television. Several commentators pointed out that the studio audience's reaction played a subtle but important role in the unfolding tension. According to attendees, the usual cues of applause and laughter felt uncertain, creating an awkward silence that magnified every word spoken. This lack of clear audience feedback reportedly heightened the discomfort, making each exchange feel heavier and more consequential than it might have in a more responsive environment. Others focused on the broader context of daytime talk shows, noting that the format often blurs the line between friendly conversation and probing interview. While viewers tune in for candid moments, guests may not always anticipate how certain topics will land emotionally. In Kylie's case, fans suggested that the expectation to remain pleasant clashed with her need to correct what she perceived as an oversimplification of her life's work. Media psychologists weighed in, explaining that live confrontation, even when subtle, can trigger instinctive responses rooted in self-preservation. From this perspective, Kylie's decision to walk off was framed not as dramatic, but as a rational response to feeling emotionally cornered. This analysis resonated with many viewers who recognized similar feelings in their own professional or personal lives. Meanwhile, behind-the-scenes rumors continued to circulate, with anonymous sources claiming producers later reviewed the segment to understand how it escalated. While no official changes were announced, speculation suggested that future interviews might involve clearer pre-show discussions about boundaries, aiming to prevent similar situations and protect both hosts and guests from unintended fallout. The incident also reignited debates about gender expectations in media, with some arguing that women are often criticized more harshly for asserting boundaries. Supporters noted that Kylie's calm exit contrasted sharply with how male artists are sometimes praised for far more confrontational behavior, highlighting a double standard that continues to shape public reactions. As weeks passed, the story began to take on a reflective tone rather than a sensational one. Articles shifted from dramatic headlines to more nuanced commentary, examining how moments of discomfort can spark necessary conversations about empathy and respect. In this way, The clash evolved from a viral clip into a broader cultural talking point. Fans attending Kylie's subsequent public appearances noted a renewed warmth in her interactions, interpreting it as evidence that the incident had not hardened her outlook. Instead, they felt it reinforced her authenticity, proving that setting boundaries did not diminish her generosity toward audiences who continued to support her. Kelly Clarkson's show, too, appeared to move forward without lasting damage, maintaining its usual tone and viewership. Loyal fans emphasized that one tense moment did not erase years of positive interviews, suggesting that growth often comes from acknowledging missteps rather than denying them. Entertainment historians later compared the walk-off to other iconic talk show moments, noting how rare it is for conflict to unfold so quietly yet leave such a strong impression. Unlike explosive arguments, this incident lingered precisely because it felt restrained, forcing viewers to read between the lines and consider the emotional subtext. The conversation eventually reached aspiring artists and hosts, who cited the incident as a learning moment. Many expressed hope that it would encourage more open dialogue about consent and comfort in interviews, reminding future professionals that honesty must be balanced with care. For casual viewers, the moment served as a reminder that even familiar, feel-good programs can produce unexpected tension. This unpredictability, while uncomfortable, also underscored the reality that live human interaction cannot always be neatly packaged or controlled. As public attention gradually shifted to newer stories, the Kylie and Kelly exchange settled into memory as a moment of pause rather than scandal. It became less about assigning blame and more about acknowledging the complexity of communication under pressure, especially when millions are watching. Reflecting on the aftermath, some fans suggested that the true impact lay in how many people felt seen by Kylie's response. Her choice to leave rather than endure discomfort resonated with those who struggle to assert themselves, turning a celebrity moment into a quietly empowering example. In the end, the story endured not because of raised voices or dramatic gestures, but because of its subtle honesty. It reminded audiences that behind polished performances are real people navigating emotions in real time, and that sometimes the most powerful statement is knowing when to step away. Long after the initial buzz faded, some viewers admitted the incident changed how they watched interviews altogether. They found themselves paying closer attention to tone, pauses, and body language, realizing how much communication happens beyond words. In that sense, the Kylie moment became educational, subtly training audiences to recognize discomfort and respect boundaries even when everything appears calm on the surface. Cultural critics also noted how quickly the story reflected society's appetite for conflict, even when the conflict itself was understated. Headlines amplified the idea of a heated clash, while the reality was far more nuanced. This gap between perception and reality sparked conversations about media framing and how easily complexity is reduced to drama for clicks and engagement. For Kylie Minogue's fanbase, the walk-off was folded into her larger narrative of independence and self-awareness. Many revisited past interviews and performances, pointing out how consistently she has advocated for kindness and respect. In their eyes, the incident did not contradict that image, but rather reinforced it in a modern context where saying no is often misread as negativity. Some observers speculated that the pressure of maintaining a cheerful public persona played a role in the tension. Daytime television thrives on warmth and relatability, yet that expectation can become a burden when conversations turn personal. Kylie's response highlighted the difficulty of balancing authenticity with the unspoken rule to always remain agreeable on screen. The discussion even extended into fan forums and podcasts, where everyday people shared their own experiences of staying silent to keep peace. Many said Kylie's decision resonated because it mirrored moments they wished they had handled differently, transforming a celebrity exchange into a mirror for personal reflection. From a production standpoint, analysts suggested the incident might influence how interviews are edited and framed in the future. While spontaneity is valued, there is also a growing awareness that emotional safety matters. The clash subtly reinforced the idea that entertainment does not have to come at the expense of personal boundaries. Over time, the emotional charge attached to the moment softened, replaced by a sense of understanding. Viewers who initially felt shocked began to see the walk-off less as a disruption and more as a quiet assertion of agency. This shift in perception showed how collective interpretation can evolve once the initial drama subsides. Industry veterans pointed out that both Kylie and Kelly have navigated long, demanding careers, making it unsurprising that their perspectives briefly collided. Rather than viewing the moment as a failure, they framed it as an inevitable byproduct of two strong personalities meeting in an unscripted environment. As retrospectives emerged, some journalists highlighted how rare it is for such moments to remain respectful despite tension. There were no insults or raised voices, only a firm decision to disengage. This restraint became a defining aspect of why the incident lingered in public memory. Fans who rewatched the segment later often remarked on details they missed the first time, such as subtle shifts in expression or changes in pacing. These observations deepened appreciation for the complexity of live conversation and the courage it can take to interrupt it. The moment also prompted renewed interest in discussions about emotional intelligence, especially in media spaces. Commentators argued that recognizing when to pause or step away should be normalized, rather than framed as weakness or drama. In hindsight, the walk-off was seen by many as less of an ending and more of a beginning, opening space for conversations that might not have happened otherwise. It challenged viewers to reconsider what respectful dialogue looks like when power dynamics and expectations collide. For Kylie, the incident quietly underscored her longevity in an industry that often demands compliance. Choosing self-respect over comfort reminded audiences why she has remained relevant for so long, not just musically, but personally. For Kelly Clarkson, the moment became part of the ongoing learning curve that comes with hosting real conversations. Supporters emphasized that growth often follows discomfort, and that navigating such moments publicly is an unavoidable aspect of the role. Ultimately, the extended story of the walk-off settled into pop culture as a thoughtful reminder that authenticity cannot always be smoothed over. It showed that even in spaces designed for light entertainment, real emotions can surface, and honoring them may matter more than keeping the show moving. As the narrative continued to circulate, some viewers began to question their own expectations of celebrities, recognizing how often public figures are treated as characters rather than people. The Kylie moment allegedly forced audiences to confront how quickly empathy can be replaced by entitlement, especially when viewers feel owed entertainment regardless of a guest's emotional state or personal comfort. Academic voices in media studies later referenced the incident when discussing parasocial relationships, explaining how fans often feel deeply connected to celebrities without fully understanding their boundaries. From this angle, Kylie's walk-off was interpreted as a disruption of that illusion, reminding viewers that access does not equal intimacy, even on a friendly daytime platform. The clip's continued circulation also revealed how repetition can change meaning. What first appeared shocking gradually became familiar, and with familiarity came nuance. Many who initially judged the moment harshly later reconsidered, acknowledging that discomfort does not always need to be resolved publicly to be valid. Some commentators highlighted how silence played a powerful role in the exchange. The pauses, the hesitation, and the lack of immediate resolution all contributed to the emotional weight of the moment. Unlike scripted confrontations, this quiet tension reportedly made the incident feel more real and therefore more difficult to dismiss. As entertainment cycles moved on, the Kylie and Kelly moment occasionally resurfaced during discussions about interview preparation. Hosts and guests alike reportedly cited it as an example of why clarity and mutual understanding before filming are essential, especially when conversations may touch on sensitive or deeply personal history. Fans also noted how Kylie's music seemed to gain renewed attention afterward, with listeners revisiting her catalog through a more personal lens. Songs about resilience and self-worth took on added meaning, as if the incident had reframed her artistry in a way that felt more intimate and relatable. Observers suggested that the absence of a dramatic aftermath contributed to the story's longevity. There were no public feuds, no extended statements, and no retaliatory interviews, which allowed the moment to exist without being resolved for the audience. This openness left space for interpretation rather than closure. In online discussions, Some viewers admitted the incident encouraged them to rethink how they handle discomfort in their own lives. Watching someone calmly remove herself from a situation reportedly gave others permission to imagine doing the same, even when social pressure urges endurance over honesty. The moment was also contrasted with more explosive celebrity clashes, with critics noting how restraint can sometimes be more impactful than outrage. Kylie's measured response, they argued, challenged the assumption that conflict must be allowed to be meaningful. Over time, the story began to function less as gossip and more as reference point. It was cited in articles, podcasts, and opinion pieces as shorthand for a specific kind of quiet boundary setting, one that unfolds without spectacle yet leaves a lasting impression. Some longtime viewers of Kelly Clarkson's show reflected on how the incident highlighted the unpredictability of real conversation. They noted that even with experience and goodwill, dialogue can veer into uncomfortable territory, and that navigating such moments is part of what makes live television both risky and compelling. The evolving conversation also touched on generational differences in communication, with some suggesting that younger audiences are more receptive to boundary setting than older ones. From this perspective, Kylie's decision resonated strongly with viewers who prioritize mental and emotional health over performative politeness. As months passed, the incident was increasingly framed as a shared moment rather than a one-sided conflict. Analysts emphasized that both women were operating under immense pressure, and that the clash revealed more about the system they were in than about any individual failing. In reflective pieces, writers argued that the true significance of the walk-off lay in its ordinariness. There was no scandalous revelation or dramatic fallout, only a human response to discomfort, which made the moment quietly radical in an industry built on spectacle. In the end, the extended legacy of the alleged clash was not defined by who stayed or who left, but by what the moment invited audiences to consider. It tasked viewers to sit with discomfort, respect boundaries, and accept that sometimes the most honest ending is simply choosing to walk away.